Guys.
Okay, maybe the granola bars with chocolate were making you too hyper. You don't eat chocolate? You're just hyper in natural.
That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. Perfect. Okay, so Gurney isn't able to make it here today, but you guys received the email, right? So she had prepared that with all the links and all that information. So do you guys have any questions about that, or have you had a chance to look through that yet? There's one of the first links. I think it's a PDF file, and it has information about debate structure. And so you should really take some time to review that. And if you have questions about that, please email us. So that'll talk about how you address the audience or address the judges, and how you should be stating your opening statements and the kind of points that you should be making, how you do an argument, and how you would be working with your other team member, right, for that
Round two.
for round two. So do you guys have any questions about that? And I know there were some sort of questions right near the end about the topics, so just want to reiterate that the topics are on the website. So there's the 10 topics, so that gives you some time and opportunity to actually prepare your statements for and against for that topic, right? So any questions about that, because we don't want to have any surprises for you on that evening. Good? Okay. So there's a question. Somebody had a question in the corner. Do one of you guys have a question? You're good?
Yeah. I have a question. So basically this whole debate, is this format, the guidelines, are they based on something else, or is this completely unique?
So what we've done, the question came up actually on our Monday session as well. We've actually tried to make this a little bit different. So it's not based on any one type of debate structure. We've mishmashed a couple of different debate structures just to provide this opportunity for you guys to do something a little bit different. So does that answer your question? Yeah.
So here, I gave you a debate, so like what it is essentially, it's just like the first part's just presentation, 2-minute presentation. The second part's kind of similar to something called cross-examination, which is kind of what is kind of the argument that's had in like an actual courtroom. Yeah, exactly. So there's like, you have your opening statement, then there's rebuttal on that opening statement, and then there's another kind of constructive statement, and then they rebut that again, and then there's your closing statement. So it's kind of like a courtroom, and it's comparative to something called cross-ex for actual debate.
That's the guide they gave, so don't follow the speaking times, I guess, on there, but the rest is...
Yeah, so the guide is, that's what I was mentioning, that guide is really important for you guys to understand. So if you have any questions about that guide, then outline your questions and send them to us via email, and then we'll get back to you.
When you do the rebuttal, do both partners, do they have an equal opportunity to like go against your point, or?
What do you mean?
So like, say if you say something and I want to say something against that, can my partner say that too, or is it just like one person at a time? How does
Well, for the most part, you want to utilize your rebuttal time and deconstruct as much of their like argument as you can. So if you say something and you go against something that they've said, there's not really any point in your partner saying it again, because you're losing your time and you only have 2 minutes.
But what if they have a different point?
If they have another point to kind of deconstruct the same thing, then they can use it, yeah. But for the most part, with your debate partner, you want to work together, and so it's best if you just share that information with your partner, so your
one
partner
spokesperson,
can use
one
both of
person,
those.
okay.
Yeah, so what'll happen for this round two, so you'll have a partner, and we'll give you guys a few minutes, like 5 minutes or so, to kind of
10.
We'll do a coin toss to see who your partner is, and then we'll give you guys a few minutes to kind of touch base with them and kind of figure out your strategy, like who's going to be the main speaker and who's going to be like the intro speaker and who's going to be the one presenting the points. So that's where that link is really important to understand the roles of each person. So review that. If there's more questions, please ask us, right? So the other point was just making sure, like I said, to know which order that each of you will be speaking in, right, in the round, because that's going to be important in terms of the rebuttal time and the crossfire.
I just have a question in regards to one of the topics.
Sure.
One of the topics is, are immigrants progressing faster than citizens? Can you just explain what the question is asking for?
Sure. What's your like? You don't understand the wording of it, or
progressing in which facet of
I think
society?
it's open to interpretation.
They mean that like are immigrants like are they moving faster than us? Like
You can
Are they
argue
being
against
processed
like
faster within
economics,
like government
education.
organizations
Yeah.
to come into the country for citizenship?
or no, or are they progressing better in terms of being able to become more financially independent,
Are
or
they better to society than fashion?
Lifestyle decisions, like maybe they're, this is just something that I know off the top of my head, that like immigrants are known to work a little harder just because they have that struggle, they have to adjust. So
Yeah.
so it's not
there's
necessarily
different aspects you can look at. I'm gonna use this while you talk.
So it wouldn't necessarily be progressing faster through the system to get into Canada or that type of thing. It's more about what they're doing to progress in the
Use the
country.
tissue.
Okay.
So, but having said that, those topics are open to interpretation. So if you were to research and you were to present your arguments in such a fashion that you're able to hold down the argument in that way, then there's no criteria, right, for that topic. So I think that's okay. So what ICAM's going to do is just go through some information about practice exercises and how you can do some research. And you guys may be well aware of how to do research, but we'll just give you a few minutes of like tips and tricks of how to do some quick research and how you might want to be prepared for the 10 topics, because it is a lot of information, and to have the pros and the cons of each side, that we're just provide that to you right now.
Okay, so first off, just to reiterate, we know that we're discussing both the pros and the cons. So a good way to start off might be just to start with the table, 1 through 10, yes, no, and brainstorm some ideas. What can you come up with on the top of your head? Because those are probably things that you've heard about in general from your peers, from your experiences. So those are like kind of trending topics in a sense. So one thing I'll point out is that yes, you can. I know that when you Google, the first thing that comes up is Wikipedia. I wouldn't say points from Wikipedia, but using it as a sense of being able to understand what the topic covers, or like, what I'm trying to say is the points in Wikipedia could be a good starting point. So, for example, for the immigrants topic, maybe it'll, if you just Google something and it comes up, it might give you a trigger idea, and you can go do further research. Now, when you're researching, make sure that it's like you're using good resources. Make sure it's factual. We have a very good panel of judges. They have different experiences. Some are professors, some are. Do you guys know anything about the judges?
So we can tell you a little bit. So there's one of the judges is from Kwantlen, one is from SFU. So they're all academics, professors, teaching different topics, right? We've got Simi Sarah, who's a broadcast journalist. So obviously she's got lots of background in information and communications and being able to get your points across. One of the panelists is is a Rotary president, our past president when we first started our club, and he's also on Red FM, Mr. Thind, and we've got Gurneet, who is part of the experience. So we wanted to have a peer judge, or peer-ish judge, for you guys. So we've got a well-rounded, diverse judges panel, but they're also very academic and have strong backgrounds, and will be able to score accordingly.
So you really want to be able to say things that are actually factual, things that they're not going to look at and be like, okay, forget this whole guy's argument, like that point wasn't true. So for that, what I would do is, what was I going to say? I had a more important thing I was going to say, and then I got sidetracked.
Well, I would say that you want to make sure that the points that you're making, so your main key messages or the main points that you're making are backed by evidence, right? So it's information that you want to present. It's not just something that you're assuming, or it's a stereotype out there, or that type of thing. You want to know that it's actually backed. So if you're stating a fact about a health resource or a statistic or a fact, then WHO says this, or research has indicated X, Y, Z, right? So that you've actually put in some time to do that research and know your facts, and you're not just bluffing. Because what'll happen is, if you are bluffing, then the other side, when they're actually attacking your argument, then that leaves really big gaps open for your statements, right?
So you don't necessarily have to be backing every single thing up that you say, but make sure that the major facts actually have something attached to it, like World Health Organization, or like whatever. If you're saying something based on the UN, like you want to be able to back it up, and that'll make it a lot stronger. That'll show that you did your work. Another thing is to appeal to the judges. knowing your judges panel, that's why I brought that up, is really important. Some ideas of that is
Use
these
a
are
different
people
marker.
who are in the media.
Use a different marker. It's not.
These are people in the media. They know their current events. They know things about health. They know a wide variety of subjects. So I would look at the topic from the perspective of current events. What's something else you could look at?
Maybe the point of views of the judge. So how, like, maybe they've spoken about the topic in the past.
Yeah, so maybe take a moment and research the judges. Maybe we'll give you a list of names. So
We have the list of names is on the debater.ca website, and we also have links to their information, so you can have at least have a general idea of like where they're coming from, what their background is, and again, just to let you guys know that we haven't picked the judges based on their actual like expert content information, right? So they're well-known people in the community, they're academics, they've got a vast background and experience. So to be a judge, you don't necessarily have to be the best, they don't have to have the knowledge in the health or the governmental, the policy or politics kind of topics, right? But they're going to be able to pick out how you can present and how you can get your points across, right? So, and I'll go through what the score sheet looks like, so we're going to share that information so you guys know what you'll be judged on as well.
So some other things just off the top of my head are like social media trending topics, things that actually concern the audience and could kind of give you that extra applause or attention. There's also politics. So a lot of people have been bringing up Trump, I've noticed, but just knowing politics, even if it's local, knowing our prime minister and what's going on. You can also look at it from the perspective of a student, so how the topic affects education and student life, because that's where your best perspective, because that's where you guys are. I've done so many presentations, especially in the past 2 weeks, and what I recommend highly is not to just memorize your research. So research it. If you find a lead and you're like, okay, I don't really know if that like goes with the topic, follow through with every lead you see online. The internet is your greatest tool, because your opponents will probably have looked at it. So if you pass something by, guaranteed somebody else has looked at it. So make sure you follow through with your topics, and then have maybe a couple pages or whatever it is of your answer for that topic, and make sure that you're not memorizing it. You group your information and are able to present it in a way that it flows. But if you're memorizing, that's going to come across. I can tell if someone's like, okay, so immigration started, and like, you know what, like that's stuff that people know. They can pick up on it. Another thing is practicing. So you can research a ton, but take that extra step. Some advice that Gurneet had given us is that put yourself in front of a mirror. Look at your eye contact. Are you looking straight? Are you having to kind of look up to think? Are you looking down? Are you looking at just the one person? Divide your attention equally between the judges. Saying like, all these little fillers, don't do it. It's really hard not to, but try not to. It'll make it more impressive. And what's the last one? Get a family or friend to watch you present on topics. That helps them give you constructive criticism. Maybe not a family member, because they're going to be like, oh, that's great. Or at least my family would just be like, actually, my family would be really mean about it. But, get someone who you know is going to give you constructive criticism and can say, hey, you're like really off topic. You're not really making a valid point. Somebody who can really guide you in the right direction. And then the last thing that I wanted to say, hold on.
The other thing I'll just pick up here is that you might actually want to look at what arguments that you have and then try to pick gaps at it, right? Like be the devil's advocate and say, okay, well, where is there some loose ends in here and what would I be attacked on, right? So try to think of the other side of what you're trying to say.
Okay, I honestly don't remember. Oh, schedule. Don't just sit the night before the event and research all the topics. That's you're gonna be so overwhelmed and stressed out, and the next day you're gonna be like, 3 days no sleep. But there's 10 topics. Maybe take a topic a day and like have some time to think about it. Come back to it afterwards. Maybe you'll get a new perspective on it. So really kind of map out your, look at how many days you have ahead of you and map out your research. Because you're going to get really easily worn out if you're doing it all on one day.
It's really exciting. I think most of you guys might have heard that we've actually sold out the event. Like we've got people who want tickets and we can't actually.
There's actually going to be 500 plus people in the room.
Yeah, so it's very cool.
No pressure.
So we can't get tickets for our parents anymore?
There are 2 tickets still for each.
Yeah, we've
event.
reserved those.
Yeah.
So yes,
So is the
definitely.
500 including those, or?
So they've been accounted for. The participants to family members or friends. Yeah. Any more questions? Has everyone here researched before?
Someone,
Yeah? I know you guys have done papers, but I know in high school you get away with a lot more.
We were told to do, like, you look at Wikipedia for like the main point, and then you look at their sources, and that will lead you.
Yeah, so checking up on your Wikipedia sources is a great way to research too. Also, if you want some more of a like scholarly article, I don't remember
Google
high
Scholar.
school. Google Scholar. So you don't have access to like databases in high school.
Some schools
some
do.
schools
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or
well,
you can use
Google Scholar is always good. I mean, they're not going to be sitting here looking up your research, but I think between websites and Google and
Yeah, I think it should be
newspapers,
enough in terms of
Yeah.
the amount of time that you have to present your topics in your cases, right? I think you should be able to have access.
maybe once you're done your research, get a cue card for each topic, pro cue card, con cue card, and just bullet point your main points. And see if you can present to your family member based off just those bullets. Because you don't want to get too wordy. You want to make a valid, kind of cohesive point. I think that's
Yep.
all, yeah.
So what I'll talk about quickly is just the scorecard. We had it all nicely done up on the thing for you guys, but now we're going back to that the other day when you guys were talking about that overhead thing. I'm so sorry. It's not quite the overhead projector, but so the scorecard, each of the judges will be given, it will not look exactly like this, but the main idea for the topic, so they'll be looking at the topic, the main points, and your opening. And the scale is going to be 1 to 5, so 1 is weak and 5 is excellent, so it's like a sliding scale. The second thing they'll be looking at is grammar, language, and the wording and how you actually present. Your eye contact, posture, and facial expression. Number 4 is your crossfire and your preparation for that part of the round. And then the conclusion. So how are you bringing everything together, presenting your points, saying here, this is what I'll be talking about and how you're going to be concluding. So each of the judges will be having the scorecards for each participant, and then we'll be taking them away after each round is done, and then that's how we're going to be tallying. Any questions about this? And we'll be debriefing the judges prior, obviously, and giving them some more details in what they can be looking at for each of these different points. Everyone's happy, right? So I do. So in terms of the debate structure or any of the rounds, I just want to make sure that you guys are feeling comfortable with the topics, that structure, how the rounds are going to go. Any questions? I know it's probably the end of a long day for you guys. You're probably like, that's
Maybe
about
we'll
yours.
do a visual example of how people coming up here, and then you can see which person's talking and after that.
Yeah, so maybe we can just do that.
I was just wondering for round 1, is there a specific order that you've already picked out, or is this random?
No, we haven't picked out any order yet. So
So it's just gonna be whoever wants to go first goes first?
we'll probably that day we'll probably have.
We'll number all the contestants, and we'll randomly select a number, and then we'll randomly select a topic for that person.
So I'll be random. You guys are used to the whole random with us, eh? So we did a little bit about presentations and we handed out the do's and don'ts. Did you guys want to spend some time on that, or are you pretty good with that? Pretty good with it? So if you guys didn't get these information sheets, we can hand them out.
Thanks, Lauren.